Welcome to the Mindful Fire podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. My dad will be so grateful. See you next time on the Mindful Fire podcast.
Welcome to the Mindful Fire podcast, a show about crafting a life you love and making work optional, using the tools of mindfulness, envisioning, and financial independence. I'm your host, Adam Coelho, and I'm so glad you're here. Each episode of the Mindful Fire podcast explores these 3 tools through teachings, guided meditations, and inspiring interviews with people actually living them to craft a life they love. At its core, Mindful Fire is about creating more awareness and choice in your life. Mindfulness helps you develop self-awareness to know yourself better and what's most important to you by practicing a kind, curious awareness. Envisioning is all about choosing to think big about your life and putting the power of your predicting brain to work to create the life you dream of. And financial independence brings awareness and choice to your financial life, empowering you to make your vision a reality by getting your money sorted out and ultimately making work optional. And here's the best part. You don't have to wait until you reach financial independence to live out your vision. Mindful Fire is about using these tools to craft that life now on the path to financial independence and beyond. If you're ready to start your Mindful Fire journey, go to mindfulfire.org/start and download my free envisioning guide. In just 10 minutes, this guide will help you craft a clear and inspiring vision for your life. Again, you can download it for free at mindfulfire.org/start. Let's jump into today's episode. Welcome to this guided meditation about identifying our unhelpful stories. In this meditation, I'll invite you to first settle your mind. We'll spend a few moments settling our minds, setting the snow globe down, allowing the snow to settle so we can see more clearly what's inside. And then we'll transition to visualizing our ideal life. You'll see your ideal life in vivid detail, which may be difficult at first, but you can practice seeing your ideal life in your mind's eye, and then notice with kind, curious awareness what comes up. Noticing any thoughts that arise, any stories. And again, at first it might be a little challenging, but as you do this practice more and more, you'll begin to notice patterns in the thoughts and stories that arise. And each time you notice, with a kind, curious awareness, you can see it clearly and then choose to just let it float on by like a cloud in a clear blue sky. So let's begin. I invite you to begin by finding a position that allows you to be alert and relaxed at the same time. Sitting with a tall, straight back, resting your hands wherever's comfortable, and you can gently close your eyes or gaze down with a soft, unfocused gaze. And let's begin with 3 deep breaths in and out. And on your 3rd exhale, I invite you to check in with yourself. Just noticing what it's like in your mind and in your body in this moment. and checking in with your intention for practicing right now. Just noticing what arises. Perhaps your intention is to relax. Perhaps your intention is to be curious about unhelpful stories. Whatever it is, noticing and letting it be as it is. And then just find your way back to the breath. Resting your awareness wherever you notice the breath sensations most vividly right now. Feeling the breath as it comes in. Feeling the breath as it goes out. No need to breathe in any particular way. Just simply observing. Observing just this in-breath and just this out-breath. Moment by moment by moment. And breath by breath by breath. And whenever you notice that your mind has drifted off, just notice that thinking is happening with that same kind, curious awareness. And then choose to come back to the breath and to begin again. Each time your mind wanders and you bring it back, it's like doing a bicep curl for your mental muscles of attention and meta-attention. And so rather than thinking you're doing it wrong, remind yourself that this is the practice. And then just begin again at the breath. Breathing in, I'm aware that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. And now let's shift gears into visualizing your ideal life. Imagine in your mind's eye a perfect day in your ideal life. Imagine yourself waking up. How do you feel? Perhaps you've had a wonderful night's sleep and you're excited for the day. What are you excited about? And now walk through your morning, noticing if it's light out or dark, what you're doing, perhaps meditating or exercising or having a cup of tea. This is your ideal big vision. Just letting it unfold, letting your day progress, just seeing whatever you see, feeling whatever you feel, and observing it all in a kind, curious awareness. If your mind is floated off to something else, just come back to your day. Seeing perhaps what you're having for lunch. Perhaps you're meeting up with a friend. Seeing the productive work that you're doing, whether it be volunteering, mentoring, working, building a business, parenting, whatever you see, just observe it with a kind, curious awareness. And focus on the feeling. Feel that feeling in your body right now as this scene unfolds in your mind. And notice also any doubts, thoughts, or stories about this is impossible, you can't do this, what about this? Whatever those stories are, they might be very hard to notice at first. No need to hunt them down or make them up or force it. They're there. Can you just listen? Let the scene unfold in your mind and listen with meta-awareness for the voice of your inner critic. Notice what stories it's telling. And remember, it's just trying to keep you safe. Our brain has evolved in this way to keep us safe. These stories that we tell ourselves have served us in the past. They most likely no longer serve us, but at one point they did. And so, can we be curious to what they are? Can we see them with the same kind of curious awareness as any other thought? And when we get caught up in one of these stories, can we choose to simply step back into the new story we're cultivating and exploring? The story of our ideal life and a day in that ideal life. Just as before, we return to the breath after being caught up in thought. In this moment, we can notice the thought or story we're caught up in and choose to relax back into the good feelings of our ideal life. Breathing in, breathing out. As we approach the end of this practice, you may choose to continue on and continue visualizing your ideal life and day in vivid detail, noticing the scenes, the smells, the sights, the sounds, and the feelings. Noticing what it feels like in your body right now as you imagine yourself there. And at the same time, notice the thoughts and stories that come up that aren't so helpful, that are doubting you and your ability to make this happen, telling you it's not realistic. Thank them and let them go. So feel free to continue on. But now, let us finish with 3 deep breaths together. Breathing in and breathing out. Again, in and out. Once more in and letting it go. And if you're choosing to stop the practice now, I invite you to open your eyes and rejoin your room. And if you'd like to continue, feel free. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Wishing you all the best. Thanks for joining me on today's episode of the Mindful Fire podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, I invite you to hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this. This just lets the platforms know you're getting value from the episodes and you want to be here when I release additional content. If you're ready to start your Mindful Fire journey, go to mindfulfire.org/start and download my free envisioning guide. In just 10 minutes, this guide will help you craft a clear and inspiring vision for your life. Again, you can download it for free at mindfulfire.org/start. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time on the Mindful Fire podcast.